PlayStation has decided to shut down Bluepoint Games. So what's happened, why are they doing this, and what does it say about the state of the industry? Let's find out, shall we? This comes from a report from Jason Schreier on Bloomberg, sharing that roughly 70 employees will lose their jobs once the closure takes effect. So why are they doing this? Well, a PlayStation spokesperson told Bloomberg that this follows a recent business review of the studio. In fact, Herman Hulst, the CEO of PlayStation's parent company Sony Interactive, shared a statement highlighting rising development costs, slow industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic changes that are making it harder to build games sustainably. TLDR, developing games is hard in 2026. We've already had to cancel a number of live service games. We're trying to save some money, so goodbye Bluepoint, I guess. And two is that while layoffs and studio shutdowns isn't necessarily uncommon in the gaming industry, Sony had a gem of a studio in their hands, and they wasted it. But it's simply not good enough for many fans, critics, and creators online. Now, why has this news been received so negatively? One is that Bluepoint Games has built a strong reputation for making great remakes and remasters. It is well known for making the Demons Souls Remake the launch title of the PS5, and for bringing games like Shadow of the Colossus and the Uncharted series to modern standards. As a result, there was a lot of hope that Bluepoint Games would continue to revive older PlayStation titles as the go-to remake remaster studio. For example, bringing back Bloodborne. It's essentially the consequence of a lot of these studios, publishers, and gaming giants trying to break into the live service space, striving to replicate the success of games like RØDE, Fortnite, Overwatch, and more. So context, Sony bought Bluepoint back in 2021, but they did not release a remake or a new game since. Instead, PlayStation made them a co-developer of God of War Ragnarok, and since its release in 2022, they've been working on a live service God of War game, as part of Sony's grand vision to break into the space. However, that was cancelled in January 2025, and the two companies were left to discuss what exactly the studio could make next, with Bluepoint making several pitches that year. And now we know the decision was reached to just pull the plug entirely. And the reactions have not been great, to say the least. Heartbreaking and a total failure. So much talent wasted is insane work. The worst decision PlayStation ever made.
Few fumbles are as hard as this one right here.
Sony just shut down maybe one of their best studios.
Like, this was a totally avoidable situation.
Now, this infuriates me and just confuses me.
What is going on? What is going on?
We're now seeing a growing trend in which several renowned studios known for their single-player experiences are being forced to create live service games. We've seen this happen with BioWare and Anthem, Rocksteady and Suicide Squad, and another studio under Sony, Guerrilla Games, has had to postpone development of Horizons 3 in order to work on Hunter's Gathering, and that game has not been received well based on the announcement trailer. And Sony itself has already cancelled a number of live service games, so it's felt like a major waste of time, money, and resources when gamers could have had several possibly great games by now. It's a growing frustration for a console generation that really does not have a large game catalog compared to its predecessors, and since Sony has already shut down a number of studios, that's not likely to improve anytime soon. It's an unfortunate day for a lot of PlayStation players who were really looking forward to seeing some of their classic games brought back into the PlayStation 5. The chances of a Bloodborne remake or remaster happening is even less likely now that arguably one of the most qualified studios out there just got shut down. Bluepoint has not released a remake, remaster, or its own original game since 2020. This might genuinely be one of the biggest fumbles I've seen from Sony so far, save for Concord. Many people were really optimistic when PlayStation bought the studio way back when, but it begs the question, why did they even do this in the first place then? Did PlayStation even have a plan for them? Oh wait, they did, they just tried to make them do a live service game when that's not what they specialize in. Among studios like CD Projekt Red, Larian, and From Software, Bluepoint was like the unsung hero in the space. It's a shame as well because a lot of these developers will either move on to work for a larger AAA company to work on standard games or live service, or just shift to another industry entirely. And I'm just out here daydreaming about what could have been. It's like when Xbox announced it was shutting down Tango Gameworks not long ago, the developers behind Hi-Fi Rush, for very similar reasons surrounding sustainability. Now, Tango Gameworks did find a new owner under Krafton, so something very similar could happen here. The only problem is that Bluepoint Games doesn't have its own IP, as far as I'm aware, mostly working on franchises licensed by PlayStation. The only merit to its name would be the talent within the studio, and that may be a harder selling point. But who knows what lies in the future? Maybe a core group of developers could form an indie studio and try something similar to Sandfall Interactive with Expedition 33. Or my biggest copium is that Sony announces that this is just an out-of-season April Fool's joke, but something tells me that is unlikely. So many untouched franchises that will likely never see the light of day again now that Bluepoint Games is out of the picture. If they weren't busy messing around, we likely would have gotten remakes and remasters of games like The Resistors, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper. We could have had these in 2026. Instead, we gotta look forward to games like Horizon's Hunter's Gathering and Fair Game $. Hey, maybe they end up being one of the best games of all time, but something tells me it's very unlikely. Strange times we live in, but Sony really dropped the ball with this one. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care.